Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another weekly live stream here at my YouTube channel. Today, hold on, I'm gonna sit down real quick here. I was running around getting things prepped. Today I'm going to be playing with one of my bundles that just came out last Thursday for the July 2026 release. And we're gonna have a lot of fun with it today. So in particular, I'm sort of combining these two cards that were part of my sneak peeks. These cards use the Petal Pop Bundle, and I thought it would be kind of fun to recreate this card design, but with the colors from this card, just because I really loved that like gradient of color going all the way across. And I thought it would be really interesting just to see kind of what that full pattern would look like, but with the color going all the way across. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's take a look at the bundle itself. So there's a die set with lots of really fun rick-rack details on the dies. And then we have a stamp set that all of these greetings are sized perfectly to go inside either the square here or the circle here. And then you've got like the rick-rack frames on each one. And then this is kind of the star of the show. This is the Petal Pop Stencil Pack. There are two different designs in the pack. We have this one up here that has, you know, kind of like 3 flowers and then a stem with leaves. And then this one down here has a full pattern. So we're going to be using the full pattern down here. And by the way, this card is the exact colors that are shown here. So this was shortbread cardstock from C9. And then I used avocado, honeycomb, and clementine for the colors on the actual card itself. So we're going to do this card design, but more colorful. And yeah, so let's get going here. We're first going to do all of the stenciling. In fact, I think we're going to be able to get 2 cards out of this because these stencils are sized so that you can get 2 card fronts. So I'm going to get the 3 stencils that I'm going to be using today. They are labeled. I don't know if you guys can see this up here, but it says like Stencil 1, like pattern B, Stencil 1. Can you see that? Oh, there we go. Now you can kind of see it. So there are 3 stencils that go with one design and then 3 that go with the other design. So we're not going to use those other 3 today. We're just going to use this one that has like tons and tons of flowers going all the way up and down all of the pattern. Okay, I'll put the stamps and the die set aside. And for the colors, here are the colors I'm going to be using today for this. It's these 4: Pimento, Creamsicle, Lakefront, and Avocado. A little bit retro, but like not too crazy. So we're going to go for that. Hello over in the chat. Looks like maybe a girl in New Jersey. Glory in Jersey Girl. Love that name. She's waiting for her order. Love it. All right, I'm going to put my Altenew grip mat down. We'll put it about right here so that I can have my ink pads off to the side. I'm going to use my ink stand. Oh, I forgot to link that. This ink stand is one of my favorite tools. I really do love it. All right, as far as cardstock goes, I'm using Ivory cardstock today. Let me show you the difference. This is white and this is Ivory. So this is Ivory from Concord and Ninth. So it's just this, it's not like a super, super warm yellow ivory like some ivories can be. I like that it's a really soft, kind of off-white ivory. I really like that. All right, so like I mentioned, I could get 2 card fronts out of this. So I'm going to see if I can do my stenciling that way. So this first stencil has, well, just kidding. Let's do this one first because you can see how the design extends both ends. So that's how we can get it lined up. So actually, what I might do is get this lined up on the card stock, and then I will go back and do the flowers first, because I think I want to do the flowers first so I can get all that color down. So this is one of the corners from Altenew's Center Alignment Guides. Hold on, let me get that on there a little better. And what this is going to do is give me a good spot for where to put my stencils as I switch stencils. Okay, I've got another one right here. I'm going to do both corners. To make sure I get this on here just right. Sometimes I can get away with only having one corner used, but I like to give myself some reassurances that the stencil is on there perfectly. Okay, so now that that one is positioned, I'm going to remove it, taking note that the words are down here at the bottom. And now I'm going to come back to this one that has the flowers on it, like the main design, and I'm just going to get this lined up. So I did that first stencil with all the leaves so that I could get this positioned just right. Now I am doing this full half sheet of letter cardstock, and I sort of have a feeling that it's probably going to pop up from my grip mat. So I'm going to take tape and just give myself a little bit of security so that it won't move around. All right, so going back to my colors, it looks like it was Lakefront. I'm trying to remember how I did this. Lakefront to Creamsicle to Pistachio. And then the green is going to be the centers of the flowers and these right here. So I'm thinking in order to get all of the color on both card fronts, I'm going to need to use each color. Whoa, we really didn't like that. Sorry, y'all. I'm going to have to use each color twice. So I'm trying to think here. Maybe we'll just start to blend one half and then we'll just see how far we can get. So I'm going to start with Pimento. And I'm getting this blending brush right here. And I'll just start ink blending from this one side. Now it's going to be right here and I want to have it be at a little bit of a diagonal. So I'm going to have the color coming across about like this. I'm going to change the direction of my ink blending. All right, I'm going to extend it just a little past where I wanted it to be so that it can mix with the Creamsicle, which is next. All right, put Pimento away for just a little bit. And we're going to go to Creamsicle. And, you know, I'm probably just going to use the same blending brush, but I will kind of wipe it off on this rag here a little bit. So now I'm bringing Creamsicle in. And I'm going to probably, let's see, that's about half. I only want a little bit of Creamsicle right down here, and then we're going to go straight into Lakefront. But I do want to make sure I get a nice orange shade down here. Okay, I can already see that that stencil up there wants to move around. So I'm going to tape it right there just to be safe. Okay. I'm going to switch to Lakefront. I'll grab a blue blending brush. All right, I'm just going to start to blend this over. This is where you're having like an orange go into a blue. So it can sometimes be a little bit of kind of like mud creating. Sometimes we'll create a little bit of mud, but I'm going to try to mitigate that by not having them overlap too much. right, we're just getting this blend coming all the way across. And I'm going to try to do quite a bit of this blue because remember, we're going to split this cardstock in half. So I want quite a bit of blue on this half as well. Kind of going like orange to blue, kind of has a retro vibe to me. So this will be fun. Hello, oh my word, lots of different places all over the globe here. We've got lots from Colorado. I did see all of that. Colorado, British Columbia, Germany. I sympathize with anyone who's dealing with wildfires right now. We've still got quite a few going in Utah, I believe. Trying to get a little bit more ink blending and more intensity for this lakefront coming all the way across this diagonal area. Because this is kind of like my one opportunity. See how intense this got over on this side? I want to get that same intensity over on this one. I also want to make sure that there's enough blue on this other half. Okay. And extend this lakefront just a little bit down into that creamsicle, just a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to go back the other direction. We're going to blend the creamsicle into the lakefront and then pimento up to that top corner. And that's just because I want to get both color palette, like both of the sides of the cardstock to have all the color. Oh, Tracy's in London too. Awesome. Okay, so now I've got creamsicle. And I'm kind of thinking, bring that a little bit more like that. There we go. Blend that creamsicle into the lakefront. I want to get that color. We do want it to show a little bit of the creamsicle. It's almost like it got lost over here because the pimento is so vibrant. But I'm going to try to make sure I have a little more over here. And then we'll bring in that pimento just for that vibrancy. All right, so that was creamsicle. And then we've got pimento. This is going to be coming from that top corner. We are going to have quite a bit more pimento when we add on the second layer, like this layer that does the center of those flowers and also that right there. So if this side doesn't have much pimento showing, I'm not that concerned. Okay. Not bad at all. I'm going to wipe this down with this rag right here, this microfiber cloth. That's just going to clean up, get a lot of that ink off the stencil before I go to clean it up. All right, then I can just peel this stencil up. You can see the beginning of the pattern. Awesome. Yeah, the creamsicle kind of got lost on that other side. I'm not too concerned about it though. We'll just have two very different looking cards. All right, I'm spraying the stencil with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And then wiping that down, all clean. I'm now going to go with this stencil. This is Stencil 2 in the pack. You can kind of see that right there, Stencil 2. And I'm going to get it lined up in the top corner and then also the bottom corner. And you'll see that it lines up perfectly over all of those flowers. going to use a little bit of tape, just like I did before, to hold that stencil in place. I think I can probably just do one up there, one down here, just top and bottom on each side. All right, that lined up really well. I'm very happy with that. So we're going to take the pimento, and now remember, we're going to do centers on these flowers too. So I don't want it to be like super, super dark, but I do want it to have more color than what's already there. And I'm also making sure, especially on these little ones right here, that I'm ink blending in both directions so I get the full shape. And I'll just go all the way across. And this is just layering that color right on top of what's already there, so you get a nice mix of colors. All right, we'll get these other flowers down right here, or flower centers, I should say. I'm just like pouncing my blending brush on the ink pad to add more ink. Whew, my craft room is very warm today. We had record-breaking temps yesterday in Salt Lake. It was crazy. 107 degrees. Okay, wipe that down. I think you also could have done like a blend from Lakefront to Pimento for these flowers as well if you wanted to. Okay, so there we go. Once again, I'll just spray the stencil with some rubbing alcohol. And then the ink wipes off really super fast and easy, and then it also dries really fast. All right, our last stencil is going to add the leaves, and this is going to be our avocado layer. Just getting that lined up. And grab a little bit of tape. Yes, thank heavens for AC. This one has a lot more all the way up to each edge, so I'm being careful where I place the tape. All right, we're going to go in with avocado. Do I not have just like a green? Oh, yes, I do. I do have a green. It's just, I used it for a very, very dark green. All right, so in fact, maybe I'll just wipe this on a rag to get rid of any of that really dark green. Okay. I'll just start coming in with that avocado. Oh, wow, my avocado ink pad needs to be re-inked. In fact, I might do that right now because it's super dry. Generally, if your ink pad is ready to be re-inked, whenever you put the ink on, it'll absorb fairly quickly. So I'm hoping that's what happens here. Got the re-inker. Double checking the color one more time. And I'll just go like this. Oh yeah, it's absorbing right away. This is just a spot re-ink. So, all right. However, because I just re-inked it, I need to make sure that I kind of dab off on some scratch cardstock. So, because I think it could be super, super inky. Okay. Oh, wow. That's lots better. This will save me lots of time having to really add lots of ink to the brush. When you add re-inker and you're doing stenciling, you do run the risk of having like an ink overload on your brush, and then you could get kind of like ink pooling in the corners of your stencil, particularly with these thicker stencils that Concord and Ninth manufacture. So stencils from my line and their line tend to be a little sturdier. They're a little on the thicker side. And sometimes if you have just a little too much ink on your brush, you can get that ink pooling in the corners of the stencil design. You might have experienced this when you use our stencils. So, you know, just know that it's normal, and it's just kind of like a side effect from having sturdier stencils, which a sturdy stencil is really good, especially for really intricate stencils designs. I love this flower in particular. I think it's my favorite. I do really like this kind of whimsical leaf down here though too. It's fun. Just getting these last few areas down here at the bottom. I think it'd be really fun to do a full rainbow ink blend with this stencil. Oh, how fun would that be? Like you could even, if you were careful, you could have each row of flowers be a different color. That would be really cute. Okay. Put my ink blending brush away. I'll take my rag and just clean up as much of this green ink as I can before I remove the stencil. Okay. Trying to find a corner to lift this up. Okay, that's really cute. It has quite a different look than the other card. It might be because I just re-inked my ink pad, so the green is pretty intense right now, but it will also dry back a little bit. So it will lighten up just a tiny bit. But I'll show you the comparison to the other card here in just a minute. Let me get this stencil clean. Okay. All right, so here's that other one. You can tell it's the same colors, but the ink blend is just a little bit different, and the intensity of things is just a little bit more because you have like the full pattern. Just interesting how you just change things a little bit and it just looks so different. All right, let me peel this up. We're going to get 2 cards out of this. It's going to be great. Now I need to clean off my grip mat really fast. I've got lots of color hanging out. Okay. Let's set that aside. So now we have our full pattern. And let's cut this in half so we have 2 different cards. What is Geraldine saying? Christina's going to end up either with a book cover or a couple of cards with a stencil. Yes, absolutely. It does kind of have a little bit of a Scandinavian look to it. You could change the colors to very, like really Scandi colors and it'd be really fun. I'm going to cut this in half. So 4 1/4. Okay, I love this because you can really see the color breakdown. So there's that card and then this one. And if we go like this, they look even more separated, like 2 different cards. We just flip them a little bit. Okay, I'm going to get 2 card fronts because these are going to go straight down onto the card. So I'm just going to use some tape runner adhesive. This is Tombow Extreme adhesive. Let's put some tape runner down each side. So this is just going down onto a regular white note card. Now this is Ivory cardstock. So it's going to be just a little bit different on the inside. It's nice and bright. I love how that looks with that pattern, like edge to edge. It looks almost printed. Add a little bit of that tape runner. Really like all of these like orangey peach flowers down here too. Ooh, Cheryl, I love Lakefront too. I don't use it nearly enough. It's like not usually my go-to blue shade because I just love juniper right now. I've had like a love affair with juniper for a couple years now. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so as far as the rest of the card goes, so the original card design had a square greeting area. So I'm thinking maybe let's do a circular one and a square one. And I want to pull in the brown from this card. So I'm going to be die cutting using cocoa cardstock. And we'll, I'm trying to decide if I want to heat emboss first and then cut them or go the other way around. I think it'll be a little bit easier to cut the shapes and then do the heat embossing. No, we're gonna stamp first. We'll stamp first. Okay, so this is cocoa cardstock, and I'm thinking I might be able to get both out of this one. Yeah, I think so. I'll just take the circle die. Actually, what we ought to do is the rickrack frame as our guide. We'll do the rickrack frame for each one. Let me get this one off the sheet here. And we'll use those as guides as we do all of our stamping. All right, I'm going to set those aside and grab my MISTI. Okay. All right, so then we can just put our 2 greetings like within that area, and then we should be able to die cut them out. All right, so let's see here. I'm thinking, let's do one of the big greetings and then one of the small ones too. I think you could really pair them up on a card, but we're gonna do one for each. So maybe let's do big hugs in the circle. And then let's do one of the longer ones in the square. How about you make every day brighter just by being you? What did I do for the... Oh, maybe surrounded by love and care today. That's another good one. Or keeping you close in my thoughts today. Oh, these are all just so good. You make every day brighter just by being you. Okay. Get those kind of centered. And then I can just remove the dies. We'll cut those later. I'm doing some white heat embossing on these greetings. I mean, if I had an ivory embossing, well, maybe I do have an ivory embossing powder. It would be very old if I did. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do white because I do know that my alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe is excellent for greetings like this. All right, so we've got some white pigment ink. Question, at what point do you toss the leftover paper after doing a die cut like this piece? If it's about half a sheet of A2 cardstock or larger, I will keep it. But if it's smaller than that, or if it's just like really oddly shaped, I won't. Pressing that down really gently. And I'm actually going to stamp it twice just to make sure I have a really good impression. Love it. Got like one little area where there's a little bit of white above that letter E. It's kind of annoying me, but we'll see if I can kind of scrape any powder that sticks to that off. I might be able to just use the tip of my scissors or a craft pick or something to get that off. We'll see. Okay. Get out this cardstock. Laura Basson would sing "Stamp It Twice" to make it nice. It's true. It's true. All right. To get that away from the edge there so I wouldn't get embossing powder all over my desk here. All right. So when I'm doing embossing, I like to like tap it like this. Maybe have it go this direction, tap it back this direction. I find that especially for greetings like this, you just get a little bit of a better result if you do that because it's allowing the powder to kind of catch the ink from all angles. All right, so here's where I'm going to use my scissors. Yeah, I don't know if that made it any better. I'm going to grab a little paintbrush and try to sweep away any embossing powder that shouldn't be there. All right. My heat tool has not been used today, so I'm going to give it a minute to heat up. Just let it kind of go off into the oblivion for a moment. Hi, Kara. Yes, Andrea is correct. I'm usually live at 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Monday nights. Okay, here we go. Maybe I'll heat from the bottom. Here we go. Oh, I missed one little spot. Okay, I think I got everything there. I'm gonna let this cool off. And then I'm going to take that same microfiber cloth I was using earlier to clean my stencils. It's not damp at all. All the alcohol has dried. And see all this like powder streaking? I can just wipe that off. Sometimes if it's sticking around a little bit, you just need a little elbow grease, a little more pressure. And that picks it up. You can also take your fingertips and sometimes the oils from your hand will pick up any of that powder. It gets it nice and clean. Ta-da! Like I can see a couple little streaks here, but I think that'll get probably cut off when I do the die cutting. Okay, so let's do our die cutting now. We need the circle and the square. That one's going to be the circle. This one's going to be the square. And I'm going to use some tape to hold those in place. And I'm also thinking maybe I should put the rickrack frame on there because that might help get it centered. I'm just going to make sure I remove that before I do any die cutting. And I'll do the same, you know, add the rickrack frame over here. Get that really centered. Get that straight. Sorry, it's hard to like see. Okay. So I'm just taping those in place. And then I'm going to take my tweezers and remove the rickrack frames. These are taped, so they shouldn't move too much. And I'll run this through my die cutting machine. Lovely. So we have both of our shapes all cut out. See, like this piece of cardstock, I'm not going to keep. I mean, I could. In fact, maybe I will. Because if I need it just for like a little sentiment strip or something, I could use the cocoa cardstock for that. So maybe I will keep this one. But that's about the size of cardstock I'd keep. Like this is even like debatable if I would or not. All right. So we're going to cut some of the rickrack frame out of Ivory cardstock now. I'm thinking I want each rickrack frame to be popped up maybe like 3 times. So we're going to cut them 3 times. So I'll just run this through. Bric-a-brac instead of rickrack. That's interesting. I think when I've always heard bric-a-brac, it's in reference to like an eclectic assortment of things, just like an eclectic assortment of things. Like that's bric-a-brac. But rickrack is like the actual trim that was on a lot of clothing, and like I want to say the late, well, maybe even the 60s. I was thinking 70s into early 80s. Not as much in the 80s, but someone who knows more about that, please chime in the chat. Yes, if it's gold cardstock, I do keep every little bit. Melissa's asking, can embossing powder go bad? It's not like it necessarily goes bad. It just gets old. And then I think, you know, the older it is, the more potential it is to be contaminated by other types of powder or things like that. I think if you're using really old embossing powder, it can sometimes just stop being as effective. But I don't know that there's any real like expiration date on embossing powder. Like I have embossing powders that are like 10 years old that are still good. It just really depends. Like I'm never going to run out of my embossing powder. My white alabaster. I don't know if you guys saw on social media. Oh gosh, it probably was like 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago. But Christopher Allen, who owns Brutus Monroe, as a joke, he sent me a huge container of embossing powder. I'll show you the embossing powder container here in a minute. Okay, these are kind of fun. It kind of looks a little bit like a postage stamp. Like I could get on board with that. By the way, those of you who are in the US, if you haven't already, you need to go over to USPS.com and get yourself some Barbie postage stamps. I mean, come on. It's Barbie with all of her different careers since like the 1950s. It's so fun. And they have such fun colors on all them. And it's like photographs of the different Barbies. I cannot wait to do some mail art with it. It's going to be so fun. Okay, let me see. Is this going to be thick enough for how substantial I want these frames to be? Get these kind of lined up, see how thick that is. I think that'll be good. These rickrack frames, like what it leaves behind, I mean, it looks like a little scalloped edge. Isn't that fun? I think it's so fun. Oh, Monkey King Coffee, which I think I should know your name by now, but I just know you as Monkey King Coffee. Your embossing powders changed colors? How interesting. The ones I have are like metallic, so maybe that's the difference. All right, I have to show you this huge container of Brutus Monroe embossing powder. I'm never going to run out. I'm telling you. I don't think you guys are ready for this. I don't even know how many ounces this is. Isn't that crazy? And they even like made a label for me and everything. Does it say in the... Oh, it's 8 cups. It says on the bottom that it's 8 cups. It's hilarious. It's so huge. I love it so much. Zoom out. Well, I mean, that's my hand. That's how big it is. It's massive. Okay. Put that back up on the top shelf, which I maybe will never need to break it open, but it makes me laugh and it makes me smile. And Christopher is such a fun guy. He's a good friend. He also sent me like a Lego thing where you can, like on the Lego website, you upload a photo and then it gives you like the pattern to make a Lego portrait. And it has all the pieces in the box. It's really cool. I think I want to do one of the cats. It would be fun. All right, let's assemble these. I think it might be easiest to adhere them onto the cocoa shapes and then stack them. I'm trying to like get off any little bits that are hanging out on that. All right. I'm also thinking it might be easier to do this where they're not going to move around. So I'm going to grab my grip mat that I was using earlier, and then I can just stick those down and they won't move around as I glue them. All right, I'm grabbing my tweezers once again. Yes, a lifetime supply of embossing powder. That's right, I did do a Lego mail art for him. I did the envelope and I think I had a card that I put in it too, but I could be wrong. Okay. Just get that kind of centered the best I can. I'll just put that right there, and then I can glue down the circular one. Okay. Now the white embossing powder doesn't match the ivory cardstock that I used. I think it'll be okay though. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, these frames should be pretty symmetrical from when I designed them. At least I'm hoping so. just going to dab this off on another piece of cardstock. And I can come in. Oh, good job, past Christina. Thinking ahead to when she knew she would be stacking these so that they're easier to line up. Nothing bugs me more than like die cuts that should be completely symmetrical and they're not. So you can't, like, you struggle lining them up if you're stacking. All right. Move over to the circle. It does look like a cookie, doesn't it? Okay. Pounce that off on the one side. Good job, Christina, on the circular one too. I will say this rickrack as a designer was nearly impossible to design and to make it like, oh my word, it was a struggle. Let's just say I was very happy once I got it done. And then once I figured it out, I was like, I want rickrack frames in every shape and every size. And I want it, you know, all options. So that's how I ended up having so many rickrack dies and the Petal Pop dies because I was so excited that I'd figured out how to do it. Okay. Like, I might want to like add some other rickrack shapes here in the future. I think that would be kind of fun. Some hearts and stuff. Oh my word, stop it. For Valentine's Day, hearts with the rickrack frames. Oh, be still my beating heart. That would be so dang cute. Like a whole like vintage Valentine vibe. How cute would that be? Don't let me forget that. I'm going to have to design that. Before I know it, I'm going to be on to Valentine's Day. Okay. All right, we'll just put that one down there for just a minute. This one should be nearly dry. They do look like yummy cookies. Yes, triangle headscarves with rickrack on them. Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking like the Brady Bunch. That'd be so fun. Okay, let's finish off these cards. These were some really fast cards today, weren't they? All right, so we've got our 2 card fronts. So we'll just decide who's getting which one. I like it better like that. I don't know why it makes any difference, but that's what I'm feeling. Hostess chocolate. Yes. Rickrack ovals, eggs, all the things. Yes. Absolutely. All right. I'm using these 2mm thick foam strips from scrapbook.com, but I'm just using them like 3 at a time, so it's a little bit thicker. Where'd my scissors go? Well, let's put that one in the center. I love it when that happens. By the way, this nail polish combination that I put on my nails today, I am in love with it. It's like, there's like a glow to it. It was like a very, very, very pale purple pink. And then there was like Dazzle Dry came out with these new polishes called Mani Mirage, and they're just like really thin polishes that you can put on top of other colors to change how they look. And this is one called Shapeshifter, and it sort of adds like a pearlescent finish, and but with like a little bit of a blue tinge. Love it. I'm kind of like staring at my nails going, why have I not done this to my nails before? I also chopped my nails down. They were way too long. Okay. And then we'll do big hugs. Right there. Love it. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I love these. Simple and cute, but like also so colorful because of all of that ink blending. So here's that color palette. And then here's the same card design on a different card. But I think that turned out so cute. And then look at all of these little shapes that I can use for a different card. They look like little shortbread cookies. That's what they look like. They're so fun. I love it. Well, thanks for joining me tonight, you guys. This is amazing. I'm going to do a quick little spiel for those watching the edited replay tomorrow once I have a chance to edit it down. And then if you have questions, I'll stick around for just a few and answer those since this was such a fast live tonight. So here are the finished cards for today. I love how the colors turned out. I really think the green, the avocado will... Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. I think the green on the avocado will dry back a little bit and be just a little bit less intense. So maybe watch for that in the photos you're about to see here at the end of the video, because I think the green will fade just a tiny bit. But anyway, thanks so much for joining me today. This is the Petal Pop Bundle. It includes those 6x9 stencils with both of those patterns. We only used one of the patterns today. Let's see, those are the stencils, and then the dies, and then the stamp set. So all three of those products are included in the bundle. Everything's linked down below in the video description. And thanks so much for joining me today. I will see you guys in another video very soon. Thanks for watching. Okay, here we go. You know what? I feel like I need to like start writing down all these shapes that we want, right? Hold on, where's a Post-it? Why do I have no Post-its? Wait, I see Post-its. Hold on. Okay. All right, I've got a little Post-it pad here. So, rick-rack shapes. And I have no idea if I'm spelling rick-rack right. I want to put a K on it. I don't know. Okay, so we definitely want hearts, maybe stars. Like an oval that would match my oval frames. That would be amazing. Maybe like an arch. Gosh. Diamonds. Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. A diamond, maybe even a hexagon. I think they'd be so cute. There is a border. Here you go. So we have a rick-rack border on the die already. Then we have one that's just smaller than 5x7, and then one that's just smaller than A2. And then we've got obviously the two that we used today. So those are all of the rick-rack dies that I have currently in the Petal Pop dies. But I think I definitely could do some other rick-rack things. So that's what we're kind of like crowdsourcing right now. Ooh, a triangle. Good call. Let's see. Ooh, more like a rectangle. Yeah. Like a sentiment rectangle. Granted, you guys probably aren't going to see these till November, but, but this is good. This is all really good. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I just dropped my little spray bottle of alcohol. Nested ovals. I don't know that, I mean, like personally, I don't know that I would need maybe more than like 1 or 2 sizes of ovals. So I think I would do maybe like a die set that is like a mix of different shapes. I think that could be really, really nice. And then maybe like some sentiment stamps that go with it. different thicknesses of rickrack borders. Okay, I could get on board with that. So borders of different thicknesses. I like that. I like that idea. Christmas tree and bows. A Christmas tree shape out of rickrack? That could actually be really cute. Huh. And I am designing my second Christmas release is always in October. So yeah. Yeah, A6 border. Christmas tree. Different thicknesses so you could do a gradient type of background. Yeah, I could see that. An angel, that would be really cute. Now, you guys don't know this, but there are, let's just say your cookie wishes and dreams will be coming true in the September release. So I don't know that I want to do too much in October that would also be cookies. I think that might just be a little too many cookies. But some other like Christmas shapes, which you could then like on your own make them into cookies, I think could be interesting. Yeah. Nesting A2 and A7. I'm not going to say no, but we already have this one right here. And what's interesting is of all of my like thin frames, the thin frame that comes in about this far off the edge is my most used frame. So that's why I went for the rickrack frames that were about this far from the edge. It really just depends on like, you know, we can't have everything. Rickrack stencils of different thicknesses. Okay, stencils, I could see that too. There'd have to be a break in the stencil in the border itself. Anyway, I'm thinking this. Okay, stencils. And then at one point, when are we sick of rickrack? You know? Crescent moon. Okay. That's true. A lot of cookie cutters from the 60s had that edge to them. Like this particular edge. Exactly. So you could get the cookie from the center and then, but you'd have the border, which could be really fun. I'm on board with that. Yeah, tags. I could see like small tags. It could be so fun. Anyway, well, thank you for crowdsourcing products. I love to think of I love when you guys give me suggestions and then I kind of like take it from there. I love that. So thank you. That's so fun. Let's see, I'm scrolling up to see if I missed any. Larger square, yep. Okay. Wikipedia said it can be spelled rickrack with a K or without the K. Cool. Cool, cool. An egg shape for Easter. I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, different sizes of tags. I could see that. I mean, there could be a whole rickrack line of dies. Let's put it that way. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. I love the retro vibe of my latest release. So fun. Check out the links down below if you want links to these exact products. I could also see, instead of using cocoa here, I could also see using like craft, or C9 calls their color wheat. That's like the craft cardstock color. I think that could be really, really neat too. There's a lot of things you could do with like changing up the colors on this. I think it looks really great. Thanks so much for, let's see, what is this? Oh, Zaina says, I was out exploring an outlying island from Hong Kong and went to an art installation, and one of them was a mahjong tiles. That's cool. I love it. Pam, you're retro. Me too. I have a t-shirt that says made in the 80s on it. Cracks me up. All right, everyone have a lovely evening. I hope you have a chance to be crafty in the next few days. Make some time. Go be crafty. It's good for your mind and good for your mental health. Thanks so much for joining me and watching and encouraging me and giving me really good product ideas. And I will see you guys later this week for a regular edited video. Thanks for watching.